So, great. Welcome, everyone. My name is Mårten, and I'm so happy that so many of you are logged into this meeting. Few words about me. I have been UX designer since 1999, which is 25 years now. So I've been through all of the technical innovations. So I'm basically hopeful about where we are and so on. I started with AI like 6 months ago, and the last few months I've been working on this thing that is now the Whiteport Design Studio, and I'm going to share a little bit of that with you guys today. Also, have a little invitation that's going to be interesting, so make sure to stick to the end. Now, how about you guys? Let's have a little bit round of presentations. You can say who you are and where you are and what you're working on, and your current relationship with AI tools in general and for use in the design process. Who wants to start? Narges?
Hello everyone, I'm Narges. I'm a product designer with over 5 years, but most of my experience back to my home country. And during these 2 years, I'm struggling with using AI tools. And recently, I'm focusing on how I can employ AI for faster my design process. And I'm focusing on titles like design for AI, not using AI for design. And most of my experience is belong to healthcare, B2B, and SaaS products and industries. And I'm so happy to be here and learning from you. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, who's next?
I can introduce myself. I'm Abigail. Actually, I'm pretty new in this field. I just graduated in UX design this last summer and have been having like a long internship. But now I'm actually working with quality development instead, but still for customer experience. So it's still a little bit, but no, design. I'm here just to learn more about AI and how you can use it in the design process. So it's going to be interesting to see what everyone has to say. Yeah, thank you.
Cool, Frederick and me, we go way back. We are also friends from the Kizumba couples dancing community. You want to present to them? I think you're muted. Okay, let's see if we can have someone else and Frederick can figure out how to unmute. Angelica?
Okay, thanks. I am Daniela from Mexico, but I live in Sweden. I have some experience as a programmer and a UX designer, very little. I did a bootcamp. Well, I'm starting my business as a web designer, and I use AI for brainstorming, for a little bit for strategy, for administrative things, but not that much for the actual design process. I use Framer. I didn't like much the AI features. So for now, it's just, administrative things and those kind of things.
It's like the things around the design process, but not the design process. Yeah.
All right, I'll jump in. So my name's Angelica. I have been in the UX space for, 15 plus years, 18, I think. It's been a while. I've been predominantly a consultant, but for the last couple of years, I've worked in-house in big global organizations. This is my daughter, Amelia. And she's going,
nice to hear.
She's going through service design paperwork. So that's good fun. I have been using AI and dabbled with it and all of the different agents for a while. I use ChatGPT kind of as my day-to-day agent for all kinds of things, brainstorming, testing things out. I use Lovable a lot for quick prototyping and kind of testing things out, getting feedback early and often, and then a lot of chat GPT as well for content. So kind of content writing and all of these things, but I haven't really found a really good way to get it integrated into the whole end-to-end design process, which is why I'm here tonight. I've also used Google AI Studio a lot for just website building, and a tool called Aura, which I really highly recommend for just really slick animations and things like that. So tried a couple of things, but keen to learn more.
But not like it for you as well, not the kind of end-to-end, like.
Not in a meaningful way.
Cool.
And that's me.
Cool. Oh, Fredrik, you managed to unmute. I'm so happy. Okay.
So as you said, Mårten and I go way back in the dancing and also some design, of course. So I'm coming from the ad agency world, basically, as a graphic designer and art director. My use of AI is more of a spot when I need it, and not as some of you also said, not end to end, to use the whole, which I like. I like it to be help, not my whole process, because that will kill my expertise, I guess.
Minus.
Well, I've been an IT consultant since 2010, I think, and I have always been trying to mix UX design and front-end development. And the last project I've been working with, I've been pretty much 100% front-end, so I would like to get back to design and UX. And I've been using this better part of last month here to just learn AI 100%. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Beautiful. Do you use any AI specific tools for the whole design process? I mean, you must have a lot of things going for you since you also know how to code.
Yeah, the last project we didn't really have an opportunity to use AI because it was a security risk. I'm pretty much new to this.
Okay.
But the month I've been trying out here, I've been using VS Code and Cloud Code Codex to develop from idea to finished site. So it's been great, actually.
Cool. Abdullah.
Yeah, hi. I am a student currently studying my final year at Interaction Technology and Design in Umeå University. And I have used AI quite a lot. Since I am a student, I don't have these security precautions that you in the real field are perhaps constrained by. And I have used it both for coding, but also for design. For coding, I've used like Cursor and recently Google's Anti-Gravity, which is their new AI agentic IDE. And for design, I have used Figma Make and a lot now Lovable, where I am currently building a startup. And yeah, so that's where I see it being like end-to-end is where you can actually build a full-scale application now and also probably next year when they are going to release many more features and scale. So yeah, I'm new here, so I don't know anything about this community, but yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Cool. I hear that you are all using AI in one way or another for your normal GPT use. And then Abdullah, you're more into the experimental phase with, and Angelica also into Lovable and the vibe coding thing. So then I know where you guys are. I'm quite happy to have all you here, because for me, where all of this started was when I, jumped into Lovable, and I got this realization when I gave my first prompt and something really meaningful and fantastic came. And I was kind of sold, like love at first prompt kind of thing. That love affair was very quick though, because when I started to actually try to do anything meaningful, all of my month credit went on just trying to make one little thing the way I did. And the code was so entirely messy, and I tried to make a website as well. And it came out super, super messy. What I realized is that there is actually a problem with prompting and getting the output as code. Because when I get the code, I'm very happy with it. But when I then start to nudge it in the way that I want, then the code gets introduced into one another and it gets very, very bad. So a few months ago, I got presented to something called the BMAD Method, created by a guy who calls himself BMAD. And his thesis is that AI is amazing at generating code, but it's not very good at changing code. So he has set up like a whole agile development team in the form of agents that you can run with any model, mostly thought code in my project. What he's doing, and I think this is super, super clever, is that he uses one agent to create the project brief where you describe the project in detail. And then you have another agent that helps you break this down into features and specifications. And then you have yet another agent that helps with the UX experience. Yeah? The beautiful thing here is that these documents is used as extremely powerful prompts further in the process. So you have agent creates a document, this document goes into the next agent, and that agent creates a document that is a little bit more detailed, and so on and so forth. And what happened with the BMAD method was that I didn't get all of these spaghetti code, but rather I could work much, much more like I had done before. Like I think about a business and I think about the user, and then I envision the product that I want to create, and then I draw it, and when I draw it, I can get help by AI to make a really detailed description of what I have been sketching. And that detailed description goes into development. And this whole approach has been super comfortable for me. And I haven't run into the situations that I hear from normal love coding, where things get messy and all of that. I got so happy, so I decided, like, oh, I think I can make my own plugin here and take my process that I've been working out for the last 25 years and apply it in agent code, right? So I'm going to show you today a little bit about how this works. And if you have any questions, just jump in and ask away. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about where I kind of envisioning this going, and see if this is something that you think that is worthy vision you would like to contribute to. So okay. So the first shock that I had to go through in order to start working with Method was to start working in an IDE, like Cursor. I'm dyslexic myself, and I'm really a visual person, and starting to work in a text environment took a bit of getting used to. What we see here, basically, is a glorified text editor. The first thing that will happen when you run this Whiteport Design Studio is that you will start with creating the project. You start with waking up the Analyst agent, and this agent pretty much asks you what kind of product you want to build. Here you start explaining, and it has like maybe 30 questions or something that you will be able to answer. And while you're answering these questions, the product vision is created. In this document, you will also create the basic features, like, are you going to have a calendar? What kind of features are you going to do? And those will then be very important later when you get the other agents to chop everything up in stories, epics. We have the ability of asking the right questions to the business so that we know what the business is all about, and so that we can also come up with a product that will help the business in filling their goals. What we also need to do is actually meeting the users, meeting the people who are supposed to use the product. A really important task for us designers that are working with digital things is that we can see both of those pictures. There is a meeting to be designed. The best method for making sure that you have asked all the questions is something called the trigger map. Starts with the business goals, and it presents the product, what we want to do, and it connects the product and the goals together with a target group. These target groups will have certain things that they want to achieve, and they have certain things that they want to avoid. So there's driving forces, both positive and negative. When we can identify these driving forces, we can use it as a way of actually taking a feature, specific suggestion from someone, and say, like, what kind of driving forces is this feature is going to add value to, right? And then we can hold this up, the suggestion, to the driving forces that we have identified, and we can see if we have them. And in the system, I also have a way of actually prioritizing features based on what the users want. So you can say that this is that the trigger map is your digital strategy in one picture. And then also based on this, we also have the agents generate personas, descriptions, and stuff. So that's step number 2 in this process. Now, step 3 in this process, when we know what kind of product we want to make, we know who wants what and who wants to benefit. Now we will then start to envision the product. And the most effective way of doing that, as I have seen during my 25 years, is to work in accordance to scenarios. So you take the primary target group, and you take the primary business goal, and then you say, well, if we're going to do something that adds value to this business goal, that is attractive to the main customer and will make their most important goals reality, how is that going to be, right? And based on that, we then find our starting point. When you have identified the starting point, then you start sketching, right? And in this agent dialogue that I have with my UX design agent, I will get a thinking partner. So this agent will be someone that I can ask questions to, like, if this user wants this and that, what should we have? Or we ask when we make the presentation page, like in this particular case. And I will have this very interesting dialogue. And then I will sketch. I sketch by hand, but it doesn't really matter if you are doing something on pen and paper or in Figma or any other application, or if you go love coding, because you might very well make something in a vibe coding tool and then save it in the report. But what you now need in order to work in this BMAD method way is to create a specification that is really detailed. Okay. So what I have the agents doing is that they get an ID of everything that we have on the screen. These identifiers, they are with us in the whole project. So when I refer to something, when I give feedback, when I have JavaScript features, anything, we have a unified way of identifying all of these. Yeah. Now, when we have these objects and we have the specifications, that makes it possible to build a design system, which means that every time we have another button or field or whatever, it's going to be added to our design system, and we can then have components that we will add. And we don't need to have 250 components to start with. We can start with only the ones that we need. Yeah, it's extremely natural to just ask AI to come up with suggestions for content. Since we know the business wants, we know what the users want, we know what the users want to avoid, AI becomes really, really sharp in coming up with what to say to the user. We will also make like error codes, and we will do all of these itsy bitsy details useful when we do development later. Yeah. So what we have when we are done with this, we take me and the agent, we go component by component. Each time when I start to specify things, I will get more information. I will clarify what I really want to do with each of these objects. And it helps me iterate the sketch one more version, let's say. So my sketch becomes much, much more intelligent after I have had to explain it in detail. Now, when I'm done with the actual specification, this is where the magic really happens. Because what you see on the screen right now, this is the new code. Coding is basically you ask AI to generate, and the code is simply a projection of your intention with the product. Then what you see in front of you now is the code. This is the product. Right? And who is better suited to create this product, what you have in front of you, than CX, UX, and UI designers? Because we have a passion for the user. We have a passion for the business. And we have an absolute obsession with the meeting between these two parties and to make it work at scale. And we also have all the technical skills to understand that this thing will actually work. And we have an aesthetic framework, a way of doing systems that is adding to the brand and create a product that people love. And if we need to change something, we don't need to change in 500 lines of code. We can go back to this specification and then we shuffle some fields and we change what is in this specification, and we press the button and the agent goes change all the places. And since we are generating code from this document, we are not going to create spaghetti code because we basically create it again. What I want to convey to you guys today is this absolutely mind-blowing realization that AI is not going to take our jobs, but we are going to be able to create an artifact that can replace days, weeks, or months of pointless prompting to get the product right. Our design brilliance, our insight into the dynamics of the user interaction becomes the product, right? And instead of spending hundreds and hundreds of euros in credits and weeks trying to get something done, and then you sit with the code that is not functional, not readable, and not well working, we can instead focus our attention on something that is actually extremely valuable for everyone in this value system. I don't think this is the right product for all kinds of products. It's for the little bit more, corporate sites, a little bit more advanced startup, let's say, where you need to have things documented and you need to be able to go back and have an unbroken chain of logic between the vision of the project and down to each buttons that we present. Also for projects where you actually want to have a design system, where you are thinking that this product is going to be expanded, added features over time, it's definitely worth to make this kind of presentation, right? The last step then is to go into making prototypes, a product that I can test on users. So based on this specification I have done, I can create a prototype myself to see if I have been thinking correctly, if my head is screwed on right. So I can learn about the product and then apply changes and improvements in the specification. What I would like to do with this, my vision with this product is to have designers working on this project together with me. It's an open source, free and open source solution. And the more designers we are that can work in accordance to the same philosophy, we can also make something that is easy to say yes to. from clients and employers. If we have a method that is more than just one person, then we can be a force where designers can actually carve out a role to ourselves in these meaningful projects. So what do you guys see when you see what I presented here? Anyone? Angelica, do you want to start?
Yeah, no, I love the sketches, and I'm old school as well, so I like to see the sketches. And because I'm old school, I've also been in the world where you do all of the annotations manually, so I can really appreciate the speed up of that from an AI perspective. That was kind of where my head was at when I saw this. I haven't done those kind of specs in a very long time, but seeing that kind of brought those memories back. I've worked for a couple of years in a kind of sketch to code fashion where there was a small group of us, front-end developer, strategist, UXer, visual designer, because back in the days, those were two different things.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would sketch on paper, Sharpie pens, and kind of do pretty much what you've got there, Mårten, and then get it straight into HTML and responsive prototypes, and then get feedback from the client and kind of go, is this in the right? Have we missed anything? Are we aligned? Is this what we want the product to be? So I guess when you've presented this, my mind goes to, this is great as a way of kind of doing some prototyping, checking some things out. And as you said, you were the first beta tester of when you get the feedback and where you see the results. But how do you invite the client or like getting that feedback in? Because in my mind, it's AI generated, and it's great because it's pretty fast, but it's still a lot of assets. There's still a lot of artifacts. And maybe it's not in the right direction. So those were my thoughts. How do you invite others or external, like a client, and make sure that it doesn't become too much to go through? To go, sorry, we've gone down the wrong track, and then it just feels overwhelming.
Yeah. So if I hear you right, you're asking how an approach like that would enable communication with all the different people that are involved.
Yeah, stakeholders, and making sure that we're on the right path. That's just my worry. How do we go from the right level of fidelity before we go too deep into the rabbit hole?
Do we have Magnus? You look like you have deep thoughts here.
Well, I think I've been trying to do basically the same thing, but without BMAD. So I'm kind of eager to try it out and see if it can fix some of the problems I have. Basically, the biggest thing is when the AI misinterprets what I mean in the documentation, it can get hard to get back on track. So yeah, and also the sketches, of course, when I'm asking the AI right now to make something visible, sometimes it draws in ASCII art and not really helpful.
Yeah, not happy about that.
No.
Anything else? Not guess?
Well, as Angelica said, I also really fell in love with how you promote this, how you show all the sketches. I really love that, and I really appreciate the effort behind this work. And that was also my question, because it comes to my mind that it was many artifacts and how we can present it with the stakeholders. And I think it's really nice that if we want to change the prompt, we just should edit the inputs and then we can get another result. And it's impressive. It's no need to change the whole prompt or remind our previous one. So I really like that. The only thing is that I'm not sure how we can do this process in user-friendly and seamless UI presentation. That's
Great. Abdullah, do you have any?
I really like the step-by-step and the granular control and the more on a component-based level where you can maybe specify exactly where you want to work and how you want to tweak it. And like working more in a step-by-step method instead of just like prompting something and getting something totally not what you were expecting, and giving it a sketch, because like giving the AI a sketch always helps it to bring your vision to code.
Yep.
But I also I mean, like maybe in this method, perhaps like AI could like brainstorm more in some ways. Like maybe it can tweak your sketch in a way, and perhaps like suggest some other stuff and make it more movable and more interactive. Because as someone here mentioned about the ASCII codes, those aren't really interactable, and having some kind of middle ground, that would be really nice. But I really like this method.
Yeah, oh cool. So a couple of things. The first thing is that in my last few projects, I have actually installed myself in GitHub, and I present my work in GitHub. I present them like sketches, and they are maybe very rough, and I present them in scenario form always. That will make, even if I have 30 different steps, I can show them as one piece. Like this is one journey, let's say. Also, I work a lot with storyboarding. So I break down some interaction into step 1, step 2, step 3, and present them as they come that way. I think that's extremely useful. If I do something interactive, I will break them down into keyframes anyway, in order to specify them, right? So let's say that we start maybe with like rougher sketches, the Sharpie pens and all of that. And then I go into more depth with the fidelity, where every different step, all the different steps could be like love coded to explore that interaction. But where it really, really fails and derails is when you are going to love code 30 steps. That is not going to work in the current state of AI, because AI don't have enough context window to keep all of that in mind at the same time. So it will derail sooner or later. And from my experience, where AI is today is that it can do a couple of fields only and do it seriously. So if you don't have these placeholders where you can actually stop AI and say, well, now we focus on this part of the sketch, we're not going to have it exported nicely. So first, I present all the artifacts. I have them in GitHub. I invite the client to review things in GitHub. I do initial reviews and we talk about it. And then I also use these meeting notes to actually help me to gather the feedback and do the changes. There is integration now in version 6 of BMAD. There is Excalidraw. You know that one? It's kind of text file based drawing technology where you can actually draw things like balsamic, if you remember that one from back in the days. Yeah, so it's saved as text files in your GitHub repository. I think sooner or later, someone needs to sit down and be very serious about the product. Like, are we going to make this or not, right? And if we're going to make it, then somebody needs to define everything. You can always push it to the developers later, but that's going to be like 100 questions, right? So I think we can have a strategic benefit of being the grown-ups in the room, where we provide this support for the product. And it would be natural for us designers to take that role and deliver it right into a form where the developers can just pick it up. A designer should be the role of defining the product as the process goes on. Would you agree with that? Well, anyone want to say something, like a last comment? And what kind of emotions are you going through right now? What are you feeling? Magnus, do you want to say something there?
I'm going to continue, try this out. For sure. And I saw your post on LinkedIn where Thomas wrote something about maybe starting some kind of hub where we could share how to work with AI.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm super happy to do that. The more we are to start with, the sooner we can start. So I'm very passionate about that.
Yeah, perfect.
Abdullah, do you have any thoughts at this point?
Not specifically, but yeah, I can just also agree with Magnus about like starting some UX for AI. That would be very interesting, like some kind of community.
Yeah, Angelica, how do you feel?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's good to hear different approaches. And I mean, I've used it, different AI agents more as a surface level thing. I've done websites and kind of slick things that works pretty well, but yeah, it starts hallucinating after a while. So you have to start fresh. You have to kind of keep it tight. And then I've also used it a little bit for research and those things. So I think I see this as another string to my bow and something that's interesting to kind of get into.
Awesome. That's also a possibility. So that's more, yeah, like that's basically what I want. And I see a huge potential here. So thank you so much for taking the time. We have been running over a little bit. Hope you can forgive me for that. And let's keep the conversation going.